Dr. Jackie, mom of 3, founder of Dove Pediatrics, and your prayerful pediatrician. And today I want to help you with those picky eaters. First of all, I want to start by saying there are some ages where it is normal for them to start refusing foods. But if you start implementing good boundaries while they are going through those phases, it goes a lot further in the long run. So we're going to talk about a couple of different stages of food eating and what food refusal can look like in those stages, and then give you a lot of tips to help with those picky eaters. If you didn't catch my last video on setting boundaries and why they're important for your children, I would encourage you to go back and watch it. It's probably not going to be very popular, but it's wildly important. Setting boundaries now teaches them the tools that they need to carry over healthy habits into adulthood. So make sure you go back and don't miss that one. Picky eating is such a common problem. I talk about it probably every single day in the office, and I know several weeks ago you heard me talk about the importance of choosing the right foods. So today, let me help you actually get those foods into that child. I'm gonna start with some basic ground rules and how you can implement steps even in the beginning to help them stay good eaters as they get older. But if you have an older child who is already picky and really is just digging in those heels, refusing the foods that they don't want to eat, come with me through the foundation, and then I'll get to what you can do with older kids after they've already decided that they are super duper picky. So the first age I want to go through is babies. When you are first introducing foods, most babies are excited and they want to try those foods. Sometimes they might give you all the funny faces, or they might not know what to do with it yet and push it back out of their mouth, but you go very slowly, you go one food at a time. And if you're ever unsure, so for example, if your child is not interested in foods or they don't look like they can handle certain textures, please, please, please make sure that you talk to your pediatrician. I always recommend to start with a single ingredient at a time. Usually that's vegetables, green vegetables, orange vegetables, and then moving on to fruits. But what you're looking for when you're introducing one food at a time are any reactions. This could be as simple as a rash around the mouth, or it could be vomiting, or it could be that after a few introductions of a certain food, your child just pushes it away and really doesn't want it. Now at this age, if you notice your child pushing certain foods out of their mouth and it's consistently the same food and it's not every food, it is worth paying attention to, because sometimes we're looking for a food allergy to manifest as hives or lip swelling or tongue swelling, but what they can feel on the inside is that something feels funny, so they don't like it and they will push it back out. So if you have a 6 to 9 month old who's refusing a food every time you give it, that can be a sign that something else might be going on under the surface that they don't have the words to tell you about yet. Also, if they've gagged on a food or are consistently pushing back a certain texture, so for example, if you try to move from purees to a stage 2 or a stage 3 food that's a little bit thicker and they're not ready for that texture, you'll also see them start to push it back out and refuse those foods. So when you have a young baby that is just trying foods for the first time and you notice a pattern of either a texture refusal or a certain food refusal or gagging or vomiting, that is an important signal to stop that particular food or that particular texture because they're not ready for it. They also may develop an aversion if they have gagged on it or if they have vomited after that food. And in this age, that is an okay aversion. You can pause on that food and readdress it later after you've talked to your pediatrician when both of you feel that it might be safe to try to reintroduce it. Now, if you don't see any of those concerning signs, if baby's taking foods, taking one at a time, and you're going through the list and you're accumulating a list of foods that your baby loves and is doing well with, then continue offering. Even if they didn't like it the first time and they made a silly face and they stuck their tongue out, if you're not seeing anything concerning, go ahead and work that back into the rotation again after they've had a couple of other foods to see if they just weren't sure about the taste at first. And always, always, always ask your pediatrician if you're unsure. The next age is toddlers. So toddlerhood starts before we are ready for it. I tell parents all the time, you might see tantrums, you might see their opinions coming out well before you expect it. Toddlerhood starts between about 15 to 18 months, and the earliest you might see your child actually starting to refuse foods is as early as 13 to 15 months. I know, you're like, where did my baby go? I'm sorry, mamas, but this is when it starts. They also learn that actions can have reactions. More on that in a moment. It is normal for a toddler to go through what we call food jags. I don't know why we call it that, but think of it like a wave. The food that they used to eat every single day for breakfast and they absolutely loved now is horrible, and it's so offensive that they can't even believe that you would ever put that on their plate ever again. You might find that they love something, so you buy it in bulk and have a ton of it in the fridge, and then this week they don't want it at all and it goes bad in your fridge. You are not alone. First of all, know that that's normal. Second of all, know that it is a phase and you can get through it. This is the age when it is the most important to teach the healthy habits and to set the boundaries for your child. As hard as it is to set that boundary, remember, according to Proverbs 22:7, you are training up a child in the way they should go. Training is hard. Imagine training for a marathon. You have to have discipline. You are going to have to do some things that you don't want to do. You're going to have to do them even though it's hard. We are training our children. We are not just leaving them to the wind to decide what they want to do, even though it's unhealthy. We are helping to teach them to make good and healthy decisions, and that is going to take discipline on our part. So how do we do that? Number one, you determine what they eat. They determine how much. Your child is growing exponentially. They're taking in information every single day. Their brain is just exploding with learning new things all the time. One day they might be eating your entire cupboard, and then the next day they eat 4 bites total. And we have to be okay with that. You choose the healthy options, and if they only want a little bit of it, this might not be a day where they are super hungry. That's okay. Now, if you know that they've been refusing a certain food for a few days now, then make sure that when you make that plate of food for them, they have a pretty safe food, a food you know that they're always going to eat. That way you avoid offering a second option after they've already refused. You give them something from the get-go so you know that they're not going to be starving, they're going to be okay, they're going to have some food in their belly, and they're going to eat when they get hungry, and it might be the next meal or the meal after that. But it's better to stick with the first option that you're giving to teach them that this is what is being served. Which leads me to number 2. Do not offer those multiple options after they have already refused. You are not a short order cook, and you cannot turn into one. Otherwise, it will take up all of your time and it will create habits that then make it harder for them to be good eaters in the future. I know you're stressing that they are going to starve, but I promise you that setting the rules in place first is going to keep them healthier than to just give empty garbage calories that's going to set them up for more health problems later on. Remember I said they learned that actions have reactions? It's not that they try to be manipulative in the first place, but when they refuse a food, maybe just because they're not that hungry or because they want the snack food, but when they learn that all they have to do is refuse a food and you start giving second option, third option, fourth option because you are too worried about making sure that they're not starving, then what they see is, okay, I see how this works. I'm going to keep on refusing until she brings the one that I feel like eating right now, and that becomes a pattern. That's how you end up with kids that will only eat certain chicken nuggets and certain French fries, because they've learned if they hold out long enough, the reaction is mom's going to give them whatever they can find that they will eat because they don't want them to starve. That behavior, that pattern is ingrained. So they always end up choosing the thing that they prefer, never try the thing that they don't prefer. And almost always the preferred item is unhealthy. So number 3, when you're trying to get them to eat because you're worried that they're starving, avoid any games or struggles. Naturally, your toddler is going to want to push the boundaries. They're going to want to see what you do if they hold their food over their high chair and just look you right in the eye and drop it. Or they're going to start refusing and want to see what else they can get if you've already done that a couple of times. So avoid the struggle. Make it a simple phrase. Oh, okay, I see that we're dropping it on the floor. That must mean you're not hungry anymore. Okay, we can be all done. And make sure that you set that plate aside. Now, sometimes that's enough for them to say, no, I'm not done. I want to eat. But if they say, okay, yeah, no, I don't want to eat, set the plate aside and then let them get down and just be done with that mealtime. Then in another 30 minutes to an hour when they want a snack, guess what you're offering for the snack? You offer the same food, because the boundary is you cannot have a snack until you finish your real food, your meal. That's what you want them to eat anyway. You want them to eat the healthy food. You don't want them to just have snack after snack after snack. So then number 4 is give them control when you can't. So remember how I said don't offer a second or a third or a fourth option? Well, your toddler is craving control. They can't control anything in their lives. They don't get to control where they go. They don't get to control when they're done playing with something and have to go to nap. So give them a little bit of control where they can. For example, if you know that foods have been just kind of up and down lately and you're not sure which one they will take and which one they won't, offer the choice at the beginning of the meal. Do you want strawberries or blueberries to go with that? Let them choose. The point is though, once they choose, that's the choice. They don't get to play games and say, I want strawberries, and then I want blueberries instead. I want this instead. I want bananas instead. Once they choose, that's the choice they've made for that meal. And the most important thing, I would call this number 5, but this is just across the board. The most important thing that you can do in the toddler age is not give up offering foods, even if they have started refusing those foods. If you give up offering everything that they decide to refuse on a day-to-day basis, you will end up only giving the things that you think that they will want. But sometimes they just need time. They need a break from the thing they used to eat every single day, and then they will come back to it if they continue to see it offered on their plate. Sometimes it takes 24 or 27 times of seeing a food before they will actually take it. So don't stop putting it on their plate just because they are refusing it. Sure, take a break for a couple of days, but bring it back into the rotation and start off with a small pile. So if they've been refusing, I don't know, bananas for a while, when you bring it back into the rotation, just put one little circle of a banana on the plate and see how it goes. Just don't give up. Okay, the last age I'm gonna cover is older children. Think of 3 years old and beyond. And this could go even into teens, but you're not gonna get the same effect with teens as you are with little kids with the tips I'm about to give you. After 3-ish years old, when they're already set in their ways, it's gonna take a lot more work and a lot more discipline to set and then stick to boundaries to get them back on track. It's gonna be a long haul. It's gonna be a longer process because they've been doing this for a longer time. So we have to unlearn the unhealthy habits and relearn new habits. And setting the boundaries is gonna be really, really hard because they have already learned the action and reaction portion of this. So they're gonna have to learn that there is a new reaction when their action is taken. As hard as it is, again, I can't repeat this enough. Remember that what you're doing right now, the foundation you're setting right now is going to go with them into adulthood. It is the difference between setting them up for early onset pre-diabetes, hypertension, and a host of other medical problems because they're not eating the variety of healthy foods, fruits, veggies, meats that their body needs versus starting them off on a healthy path and teaching them habits that they can continue into adulthood and live a long and healthy life. Remember, this is the training ground. You are training a warrior. It's going to take discipline. Do not give up. Train them in the way they should go. And when they are old, they will not depart from it. You can do this. All right, here's how we're gonna do it. First, set some dinner rules. This is gonna be a shock to some, and this is going to take time to learn how to enforce these rules, and the kids are not going to like it always. A couple of my favorite rules: sit down and eat dinner together, turn off all screens, set phones down, and actually have quality time as a family where there are no distractions and the expectation is that everyone is going to eat together. Yes, I know your child may prefer to walk around and just take bites. This is creating a family gathering that goes so far beyond just getting food in them. It is nourishing to their soul as well. Sit down as a family at least once a day and eat together. Another rule we use in my house sometimes is a timer. We're gonna set a 30-minute timer. That timer goes off and your plate is still full. That's it. You didn't want to eat. The timer's up. If you want a snack later on, guess what you're gonna see? The same plate of food again. I don't want you to go to bed hungry, but this is the food that we've made. Set expectations of trying new foods. If that's one bite of the new weird looking food on your plate, set that expectation. Set the consequences. What what is going to be the consequence if you don't try that food. In our house, we've found that dessert helps and that it doesn't have to be elaborate, but a small dessert after dinner, we allow it 3 times per week, and the kids know the rules. The rule is if you finish your plate, you can have dessert. And the expectation is that you at least have to try your vegetable. It might be a new vegetable, it might be a vegetable that I know you don't like, but you have to try it. If you have not tried your vegetable and if you have not cleaned your plate, you don't get dessert. And that's okay. Sometimes they decide, I don't really like this meal and I don't really care about dessert tonight and I'm not gonna finish it. Okay, that's perfectly fine. You've made that decision. You understand the consequence. Now in your house, that might be try your vegetable or no TV tonight, or try your vegetable or we miss 1 book at bedtime. Whatever that rule may be, whatever rule works for your house. Now, it doesn't need to be a humongous, awful consequence. You don't need to take away toys or time out or punish them. Absolutely not. Just something that they usually would look forward to, that if they decide they don't want to do that today and they don't want to finish their plate, that's okay. That's okay. That's their choice. They actually get to be in control of something. Okay. Number 2, after your dinner rules, always have a safe food. It is really intimidating to have a whole plate of stuff that you don't like and looks gross. When you're creating your dinner plan for that child that you know is going to give you a little bit of pushback on certain parts of the dinner. Have a safe food for them. And then put a small pile of the safe food, an even smaller pile of the undesired food. When they ask for seconds of the food that they love, the rule is you can't have seconds until you at least try 3 bites of the other food, or however many bites you find reasonable. I would say at least 1 or 2. For example, if you're struggling to get them to take green beans, don't put half a plate of green beans on their plate. Put 2 green beans and then a small pile of a safe food to set that expectation that we are gonna keep trying new foods even if we don't like them, because they are healthy for us. And because you might find as you get older that you actually like that food. Number 3, absolutely no snacky foods until that meal is finished. So again, just like with the toddlers, if they leave a whole plate of food, 30 minutes later turn around and say, I want a snack, guess what they're gonna see? That same plate of food. Or maybe you've cleared off that plate of food, but can they have something that is similar? Number 4, make it fun and interesting, especially if they're pushing back on fruits and veggies. Arrange them in a fun little pattern, arrange them in a smile face and challenge them. Okay, let's eat the nose. Okay, can you eat an eyeball? Can you eat an eyebrow? Okay, let's eat the mouth, and make it fun for them. You could create a little pattern that looks like a little house and open the door. Okay, the door is open, let's eat it. Open the window. Okay, let's eat the window, and just make it a fun little interactive one-on-one time with them. 5th, you can use toppings, cheese, ranch, ketchup, Parmesan cheese, and our personal favorite in my house is the ranch toppings. They're actually popcorn seasoning, so it's just a little powder that you can put on and give a little bit of flavor. Help them to take it. They still might not like the veggie or the undesired food, but if you can give it a flavor that they might like a little bit better, go for it. They might not require that topping forever. And then lastly, let them help make the food. You would be surprised at how much more interested they may be in actually eating the food, even if they usually refuse that food, if they got to help you put it together. It's a sense of pride, like, I did it, I'm gonna eat it. So hopefully you have found all of these helpful. I just want to touch on a few extra little topics to make sure that you are recognizing if there is something more than just picky eating. So if they struggle with very specific textures, no matter what the food is, if it's that texture, and they have other sensitivities, sensitivity to loud noises or to bright lights, if they are sensitive to other people, they're very shy, they don't want to interact. If you're picking up on any of those things in addition to a picky eater, please make sure that you are talking with your pediatrician, because that may be a sign that there's something more going on than just, I don't want to eat that food and I want the food that I want. I really hope that this was helpful to you. Please share far and wide, because I promise you, picky eating, like I said, is something that I talk about every single day. It is common. You are not alone. Keep on staying strong, set those boundaries, fight the good fight, train up that warrior. Because remember, we're building a community of kingdom moms and dads who are on a mission to raise a healthy and faithful next generation. Share, 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 like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.